Vested Agents presents Real Estate Action Live.
Yes.
We're going to do something different. Multiple guests answering a single question.
This will be a fun, fast-paced hour with amazing guests.
And that is how you're going to win all day, is to empower your people.
Too many agents are trying to figure out, well, how do I get my buyer's offers accepted? It's easy. Offer the highest price. It's not rocket science.
When you're a realtor or you're doing something in real estate, you have to flip the view of what you're looking at, and you start looking at what other people are doing.
So it's really just personality based, and then having people learn the ropes in an effective way.
Focus on just being there for people and providing value.
I don't regret what I did because it really made me hustle and work hard.
Better than we've ever been. We just had our first six-figure month. That 70K just jumped to six figures.
I'm all about like building up your knowledge base, building up your mind, building up your spirit, and just slay the day.
We're always looking for people to come along and help us with our journey as well. We can also contribute and help them develop their skills.
Thanks for having me. This is super cool.
Yeah, great. No, it's been awesome.
It's an honor to be here. I appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Haley. Thank you. Good stuff.
Chris, I'm so honored to spend time with you live, teaching thousands of real estate agents how to build their brand and not be a commodity.
What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to another Real Estate Hacking Live. Let's get that background. I don't know what that's doing back there. What's going on, Ben? How you doing?
Hey, doing awesome. How are you? Happy New Year, brother.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Excited for the show. Actually wanted to do this on in December. Just got busy wrapping up the year, preparing for what's going on this year and in Q1. But we got a good lineup. So we're going to be talking about the question of the day. And if you're watching this, whether you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, follow along with us in the chat. Answer the question for yourself. And also, if you got questions for our guests, definitely put it in the chat. And they should be able to get back with you. And if not, I always respond to comments. But question of the day is, how are you building wealth and creating your legacy? It's a pretty important question, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's something that I talk a lot with people that I get to interact with in the real estate world, especially like that are on our team or people I interact with. A lot of people, the reason why they're getting into real estate is to create wealth. And, I'm just excited that you got the opportunity to help provide them with some information about, some tangible tools to actually do that.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And really, Jamie and I, when we got in real estate, it was to create wealth and build passive income. And we started off on that journey. We were just buying rental properties, just at a little bit at a time. And we ended up switching gears in 2015 when we went full time. But it was a few years before we realized, like, hey, we didn't just switch gears, we switched tracks, and we had to get back on track to building wealth. What we did is we quit my job, had to eat. Rental properties, $200 a month here and there doesn't really pay your mortgage or buy much as far as food is concerned. So we were flipping houses, but and then before we knew it, like 30, 40 houses a year. Sounds cool, but man, that's a very, very time consuming hamster wheel that sucks a lot of cash, and you can make a lot of money. But I see people do that all the time, and you probably see it a lot in the realtor world, working with and training other agents.
Yeah, definitely. And I know for too, when my wife and I, when we got started in real estate investing, it was, for the long-term vision to create wealth, to financial freedom. And I think one of the things, especially with agents that I meet or people that are looking to get into real estate, they get all excited about the opportunity and then realize how much work, time, energy, resources that it takes, and actually the consistency over time, very similar, and why I'm grateful for the team to work with you, Chris, to actually create that generational wealth and how to go and do it. And it's not something that happens overnight. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it definitely takes time. There's the stories that stick out the most are the ones that are just the rocket to the moon. And those are definitely fun to hear, but the fundamentals of it are quite boring. it's just consistency. And you can do it with a full-time job. Like you can have a full-time job, you can like a traditional corporate America job. You could do it as a realtor, selling houses for 10, 20 years or whatever, and just continuously chip away at building wealth, which that helps ultimately impact your legacy too. Because wealth and money, it's not everything, but it does give you more resources to do some of the things that probably really excite you, and ultimately to give back to whether it's your family or charity or whatever the special causes that really speak to your heart and that you're passionate about. So before we bring on the first guest, and they should be coming on here soon, for you or maybe for some of the folks that you work with, how are you or how are some of your top clients building wealth? And then this may be a little bit harder to do, so you may have to speak more of this for yourself. How are you building legacy?
Like in just coming into the new year, there's a lot of, I've been setting my goals for this year, working with our team, and I'm asking people what it is, they're looking great this year, and what that short-term and then the long-term goal is. And for me, the long-term goal is to become financially free by 50s. And so I'm 42 right now. So what are the things I'm doing now that will set me up to achieve that goal within the next 8 years? Like I'm in that process of that runway. And I know the most important thing for me right now is that, one, taking care of my homestead. And this year is my active opportunity to start investing and building my portfolio. I know a lot of people that I work with a lot of investors looking to build their portfolio. The big thing with the clients that I work with is they don't necessarily have the time to invest. They've got the resources, but they don't have the time to do all the legwork of identifying deals, whether they're on market or off market, what they're looking for, the ability to evaluate and analyze the property. And, some have kind of sat on the sidelines, some are still very active. And the one thing I do know, just working with the investors and the clients that I am working with right now, the one thing that is consistent is that they are confident that real estate will continue to appreciate, continue to grow in value. And really, when I'm talking on a transactional basis, I'm especially in the greater Houston area, I don't foresee like a real dip in the pricing. So the homes are going to continue to get more expensive. So, there's no better time than now to get started. And I think now there's going to be a lot of opportunity this year for investors, people to start investing, creating that foundational generational wealth.
Yep. And our first guest may have had an emergency, so hopefully they can pop in. But if not, then we'll get our second guest up soon. But for us, Jamie's been, well, as far as building wealth, naturally, it's no surprise for real estate, and it started out with individual single family properties. So even with our flips, there were the occasional property that we actually would keep. And then really what was the kind of the aha moment for us was it was around 2018 when we were doing 30 plus deals a year. And then we had a couple deals that they went bad. Like we ended up losing money on them. When you're doing that many deals a year, you're bound to have a couple losers. And we actually looked back though at our average profit per deal. And then we looked back on a rental that we sold. Like we had it for several years. And it was significant, not even just a little bit, significantly more profitable than our average price per deal on our flips. And it didn't cause all the headaches. It was taxed at a lower tax basis. We got ongoing cash flow along the way, tax benefits. So we just realized like, hey, that was kind of the aha moment is like, why don't we get back to that? Like we started off buying rentals anyway. Won't we get back to that? And we came up with this whole slow flip strategy where, hey, instead of flipping houses over a 3 to 6 month window, once you flip houses over a 3, 5, 7, 10 year window, and ultimately once you fill that hopper, you could sell one every 3 or 5 years or 7 years or whatever, and then use those gains to go out and buy not just one more to replace it, but 2 or 3 more, allowing for exponential returns. And ultimately, when I built that model out, it was like, holy cow, like this solves the problem of once we, I mean, it's going to be a little slow in the beginning. We can fill the hopper. That is the slow part. But once that hopper's filled, then you can get some exponentially growth in both income, because you are going to be selling some every 3, 5, 7 years or whatever. Then there's the cash flow, which, I mean, there's definitely debate on whether rental properties really are really cash flow vehicles, but it's the accumulation of wealth, both in equity pay down and appreciation. And then you get the tax benefits that go along with it. And, when we built that out, it was like, boom, like, what are we doing flipping houses? I don't know if you had conversations with house flippers about that, but so that was our journey. And then in 2020, we a friend of ours who we'd had many conversations with on multifamily, and we were able to partner with him on a large multifamily, set up a fund of a fund, and got some of our investors involved. It went tremendously. And then here we are now, which that actually gave us the clarity on how we wanted to proceed, doing what we were doing before, the long-term flip strategy, the slow flip strategy, just doing that at scale. And here we are now with a $100 million fund that just got launched to where we can do that at scale, but also invite our passive investor partners to come along with us, and ultimately helping them build their wealth. So that's our mission statement. Actually, it's to improve people's lives and communities. Improve people's lives and communities. That's what we're trying to do, and we're going to be improving the investors' life that work with us. Definitely helping their life, building their wealth, building their passive income, helping the communities that we're both the like properties we're improving, and the folks that work there, the folks that live there, and the surrounding communities. So that's part of the legacy that we have. And then Jamie and I, that same guy who, Steve Libman, he's been on the podcast before, and I know he's got some really cool legacy objectives within his company with like donor. I think it's called like it's like a donor fund, but essentially it's a charity. It's a charity tied to his business. And I know Jamie and I we've been speaking. We've had some light conversations about how we're going to implement that within our business. But I know she's really passionate with education, with kids, with the church, and then me also with education, but typically more on the finance side and the education side. But yeah, that was a little long-winded. Okay. Yeah, looks like our first guest definitely had to skip out for an emergency. So we're going to bring up our second guest. You got the agenda there, Ben?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm excited to bring on Wendy. Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah. Excited to bring on Wendy Sweet. She's a real estate broker with over 20 years of experience in the industry. She's also a short-term rental landlord and self-storage geek. She has a passion to share knowledge and connections with others. Wendy, thank you for your time. Welcome to Real Estate Hacking Live.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much.
How you doing, Wendy?
I'm doing terrific. Live shows are wonderful, aren't they?
They are. But I like it. I can ad lib. I mean, whether that part's entertaining or not, I don't know. Y'all tell me. But hey, so we were on a panel together at Quest Trust's big event, and I really wish my wife could have been in the audience, because I know you were like, everything you were talking about, I was like, man, you'd be speaking right to her. You speak to a lot of things that she's so passionate about. So tell me, and you talked in detail about this. Well, what or how are you building wealth and creating your legacy?
Well, I think when I was asked about the legacy thing, you may remember my answer was, my intention is not to leave a legacy for my children other than the fact that they have a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's the legacy I want to leave with them. But I'm not leaving them a dime. I mean, I'm sure I will, but that's not my goal, because I've seen so many people get ruined because they had backup and they used it not as backup. They used it as their everyday, here's how you get going kind of thing. What made me who I am is that I had to work for what I have. I'm leaving a legacy of education, and not college, although, college is great, but I could care less if my kids go to college unless you need a degree, like some sort of a degree to do something like a certification or a license. You can learn everything you need by going to webinars and seminars and masterminds, and it's so much cheaper than a college education, right?
Yeah, I mean, outside of certain STEM careers, most of that you can just go straight for the certification and be much further ahead. And I think society, especially Fortune 500 companies, they've whether by necessity or not, they've become more open to that.
That's exactly right. I have lots of cousins that have, grown children that have all graduated from college, and they all have come out of college with $80,000 plus in debt. Can you, you look like a child to begin with, Chris. You're so young. You're younger than me. When I came out of college, I didn't have a dime in debt. I can't imagine entering the workforce with that kind of debt in front of me.
No, I mean, yeah, there's ultimately, I think really what college teaches you, if you go through the process right, is relationship building and work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the biggest skills. Various degrees, they obviously, differ. Nothing I do has anything to do with what I learned in college outside of relationship building and work ethic. I learned more from the network marketing company. I was selling vitamins in college. I apologize to all my college friends who were broke and couldn't afford anything. But anyway, it taught me the fear of communication and the fear of standing, doing presentation. I'm an introvert, so it taught me those skills, and those skills cost me I don't know, $50 or whatever it was to join that company, and it was just trial by fire at that point. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's work ethic. That's ultimately what matters.
It makes a huge difference, and what I'm doing to build my personal wealth, I'm a lender, and that's what I do. We create notes. I manage a fund. So a lender is, that's what I know. I was a mortgage broker back in the day, and had a mortgage company that we did conventional loans, only did investor loans. That's how I really got to know the investing world, is because I only did investor loans. They were the hardest ones to have to do. And I knew all the mortgage brokers were lazy. So if I learned the hardest one, I could, be like shooting fish in a barrel. I could get that business, and it worked. That worked out for me. So I love the lending business. To me, it's the best seat at the table. You're putting in the least amount of hours for the greatest reward when you're on that team, from the rehabber to the contractor to the real estate agent to, all of the attorney, all of the different positions that are filled. To me, the lender is the best.
Yeah, I've always thought the lender, especially so did you do hard money loans?
Yes.
Okay. So I've always felt that the hard money lender and new investors getting into the game, they don't quite understand it. Sometimes they'll look at it. The game's definitely changed, since we got in. But I've always looked at them as a partner, whereas some new investors are like, oh, why would I ever pay that? Why would I pay that? I'm like, no. I don't think you understand. One, there's a vast amount of experience that you were in your entire lifetime will never be able to personally experience at the hard money, because they're doing 20, 30, 50, 100 plus a month. Like, you're just probably not ever going to be doing that many transactions. They've got a really good pulse on the market. And beyond that, they do not want you to fail.
That's right. We want our money back. We don't want your house. We want our money back. If we wanted your house, then we'd be buying the house and rehabbing it. That's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that you are successful. I spend so much of my time holding people's hands and walking them through the deal. I want to see them successful. I don't want to just do one loan. I'd love to do them all.
100%.
But I can't do that if they go out of business. And I just
makes you you're a partner, but you're also like an advisor, because you're not going to get them a loan where they will fail. Or ultimately what you'll end up saying is, hey, look, I don't think it's a good deal at those numbers. Now, hey, if you want to do a 50% loan to value, sure, you'll take that risk. I don't think it's a good idea. Your call. Usually those kind of things work themselves out. Just like maybe the last couple minutes, share with folks. I think this is really important for parents out there. You talked about work ethic, which that's the legacy that lives on. It's through our kids, through our family, or if you've got a large company, through the employees that you work really close with that permeate to their families. How do you, and this is probably more for the kids related, how do you teach work ethic? So in a privileged family, like you're doing well. Like, work ethic's a little different when you're living on the other side of the tracks and you got to work for every single thing you have because your parents can't give you anything. You're not in that situation. I think it's a tough question, but I'm curious what your answer is.
Well, I've said to my kids several times, it's awfully cold out there. So they need to understand that. I've taken them on mission trips too, so they can see how people really live. But the thing is from a very, very young age, I always required my kids to do chores. They got a reward for what they did, and they felt the consequences for what they didn't do. And it's hard, and it gets harder as they get older to teach them those things that you don't take the time to teach them when they're young, because it's easy just to give them what they want and get them out of your way. But I also have taken them to webinars, seminars, masterminds since they were young to sit in and listen. My kids know about self-directed IRAs. Right now, they are all 19, 20, and 21. All three of my children have self-directed IRAs and have for a few years. My youngest son is the one that has the most money. He's the one who listened the most, and he's lending his money out. He couples with other people, me, other people in our company to put money together to lend money out. They come to my houses and work on the rehabs. If I've bought a house that I'm rehabbing, I give them jobs and I pay them for it. I do what I can do. Now, some of them just, my oldest son's as hard-headed as they come. He's the one that had to feel that it's cold out there. So it's there. You can treat them all the same. They'll come out, they come out different. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. You gotta let them fail sometimes.
That's exactly right. That's hard to do as a parent. It's really hard to let them fail and to see them do that. But God does that for us too.
It is.
And I have to keep telling myself that, that's the way he works too. He allows us to fail so that we can learn. I know that the best lessons I've learned, even into this age that I am now, is every time I fail, it's something I truly remember. I'm not afraid of failing, but now I know how to get out of stuff. And that's the key, is failure is cool. It's okay. It's good to fail, because that's how you learn.
I love it. Well, let's end on that. These things go quick. I appreciate it, Wendy. And actually really look forward. I'll be reaching out. I think we can have another conversation that really can connect with some folks.
Love to do it.
I love your story and love what you're doing. So
thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Powerful conversation there. Hey, excited to welcome Bill Allen next up to Real Estate Hacking Live. Bill is a real estate investor based out of Nashville, Tennessee. He and his team currently flip and wholesale over 100 deals a year. Bill is the CEO and owner of Seven Figure Flipping, where he leads a top house flipping and wholesale mentoring groups in the country. Bill, welcome to Real Estate Hacking Live.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me.
What's going on, Bill?
What's up, Chris? How are you?
Good. I mean, this is your whole, this question is really everything you do every day, building wealth, creating a legacy, but you're not doing it just for yourself. Owning an education company, you're teaching other investors, top tier investors, which is, that's how we met, is through your company. You're teaching them how to do that. So, how, for the folks watching, how are you building wealth and creating legacy?
Well, so one thing, I think there's a piece that a lot of people miss. Like everybody wants the passive income, but so I look at things a little bit differently maybe, but there's like an active income side for me and then a passive like wealth building principles. Mm-hmm. So what I do and what I've done for years, actually, let me back up. When I started this, I thought I was going to save my way to be wealthy. Like I was just going to save money. I lived on 55% of what I made and I saved the rest. And I just invested it. And I thought
that's pretty impressive right there anyway.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was single. But I didn't make that much money. I maybe to some it's a lot, but it's like 90,000, 100,000. I was flying for the military. And I would park like anywhere between 45 and 55% of my salary, put it in IRAs, my 401k, savings accounts, put it in index funds and just watch it grow. And one day I was going to be a millionaire. That changed when I met people that were making $1 million a year. I got into a room where people are making $1 million a year, and that shifted things for me. And I said, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And so then I started looking at things like I have active income, like I have work that I do, and I love to work. It's really enjoyable to me. I like to make money. I like to go out and change people's lives. I like to impact the world. I like to do things like that. And so that's not going to stop. So what I figured is how can I make as much active income and then go park it? I call it burying it in the backyard. Yeah. So I just take my money and I bury it in the backyard. So if I make $100,000 in a month, I'll go bury it in the backyard. And what I do is I just put it in multifamily syndications typically, or I reinvest it back in the business. And usually it's a percentage of both. I don't like having cash in my account. I like having my soldiers out working all the time. So multifamily real estate is the number one area that I'm investing right now, and back into my business and into my knowledge and skill set. Like I want to build my skills and I'll pay money to build my skills really fast. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's really that's the Rich Dad formula. I mean, you're doing it through business, which you can do it as a job because that basically is your business. You just have more leverage since you have a business and you're just following your business, your income, pay for your necessities, put everything else into assets, specifically in this case, assets that are paying you money and building wealth at the same time.
Yeah, I love the fact that they cash flow. I get a tax depreciation, which I need, and I get net worth growth. Like it's really great options there. So I just want to take as much money off the table, go out and invest it, and let it work for me while I'm doing something else. Like let me use my skill set to go actively do what I'm really good at and figure out how I can go from making $100,000 a year to $1 million or $2 million or $5 million a year. And then I can just go invest more, and it starts stacking and compounding, and that's what's really powerful.
Yeah, it's like what Grant Cardone says, which I think you may have a conversation with him sometime soon. But he always says like, I'm always broke, because he doesn't want anything in his bank account because it's just losing money. It's got to be out there compounding with an asset.
Yep, absolutely. I just had a conversation with him. I'm a few minutes late because he kept going. Like when he talks about real estate, and he talks about money, and he talks about mindset, he just keeps going. Like we're supposed to be on for 30 minutes. We're on for an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Legacy then. So how are you using your current vehicle right now, the way you have it designed to define your legacy?
Yeah. So legacy is an interesting word. I think most people look at their kids and their family and things like that, but that's only going to last for so long. Like I think our name is only going to last for so long. So number one, I think the written word has the opportunity to last a really long time, like way beyond us. If we can market it, we can get it in the right hands, we can make it powerful. So writing books is one thing. I wrote my first book. I'm writing another book. I think that's one thing that I want to do. Obviously my children, like I don't want to give them things, but I want to pass down information, knowledge, leadership, things like that to them, like a mindset where they can grow up and it's okay to be wealthy. It's okay to want to do things in their life. It's okay to want to travel. It's okay to want to just shift from the norm. Like money is not the root of all evil at all. And then the real place is making an impact on others. I think like that's that's where the legacy, I think, can actually really spread. And so we have a charity in our company where we're giving money back. We're going on mission trips. We're doing those kind of things, but making an impact on other people. I recently tried to figure out like what my why was. Everybody just shows up and says it's their family. And I think they're all kind of like full of it. I think a family is the piece of it. Like if your why is just your family and you have $3 million in the bank, then why are you here at the event? Why don't you just stay home with your kids? And so I think it's a piece of it. I think we want a better life for our family, but we also want to strive to do more. And so I really got deep on that. And I got to a place of like, I really don't want to die without making a really big impact on a lot of people. And so that's really, when people ask me why I do what I do, why do you coach, train, why do you speak at events, why do you do all this stuff, and why do you keep going? That's it. Like I really feel like I want to figure out how to leave something way better for other people. Like how can I change other people's lives? I already got my life changed, and I just want to keep passing that down. So.
Love it. When you're talking about the books and whatnot, plus you do a lot of content. Has it ever occurred to you, like, wouldn't it be so? I imagine you would think this would be cool if you could go back and actually watch a video of your great grandparents, like have a conversation about something they were passionate in. Has it ever occurred to you, like 10 generations from now, like they're going to be able to go back and actually watch you and see what you were like and things you were passionate about, and really connect with you on a level that it's never been possible before in human history?
Yeah. Well, number one, I've never actually thought of like people looking back at me, like my, 10 levels past me looking back at me. But I do wonder, and that's interesting. Like now I do wonder about that. But I think I wish that I spent more time with my grandfather before he passed away. And I know some about him, but like I never really I was a kid, so I'm never really like curious about his history and what he did and all those things. I asked my dad and stuff, but never had like deep conversations with my grandparents. And so it is interesting that this stuff, I don't even know if this stuff will be able to find it. I mean, the rate at which like AI and all this stuff is going to search the internet, it's probably going to be fine. But like most of our stuff, like you say, I put out a lot of content, and like I wish that I did. Like I think it's so insignificant. I should be doing way more, and we all should. I think that's what I hope people get from this is like there's a level like way past the level at which you're at, and whether you want to get there or not, like you got to figure out why you want to go there. I do think it's interesting. I won't be around that long. I just hope I make it to like my kids' and get to spend time with them. And I really like, I'm so proud, like my dad's my hero, and I'm so proud of the values that he instilled in me that I just hope that my kids and maybe my kids' kids see that, and it just keeps going back. Like my dad's values are because of his dad, and we have a long lineage of like great relationships with fathers, which is really incredible. Not everybody has that, and I realize that. So I want to do that. I want to be that for my kids. Like I really want to be the inspiration and role model for them, just to do whatever they want to do. Not exactly what I'm doing, because I'm not doing what my dad did. But yeah, it's interesting to think about. I do like that.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Bill. Look forward to hearing more about your conversation with Grant.
Oh yeah, it was a good one. He was just talking. We're going to put it out on the podcast and stuff like that eventually. So awesome. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Absolutely. Take care. See you soon.
See ya.
Man, that was great. Hey, and next up, excited to welcome Jennifer Beadles to Real Estate Hacking Live. Jennifer is a nationally recognized real estate expert, educator, and investor. She has been a licensed agent for over 13 years, generating over $8 million in commissions, and works with investors and owns nearly 300 units across 8 states. Jennifer, welcome to Real Estate Hacking Live.
Hey, Ben. Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Have you ever thought about that? Like knowing like 5-7 generations, like they're going to be able to actually know who you are at a much different level than you have no idea who, 5 generations prior to you, like what your grandparents, how they were. You ever thought about that?
I haven't. I mean, I feel like I really need to live up my potential here.
Yeah, does this change how like now the calling you have, because you may be held accountable?
Right. Show up a bit differently. Yeah.
So, building wealth, creating legacy. What's your take?
my favorite conversation to have. Yeah. All right. So here's kind of like what my focus is on this, building wealth topic. Obviously, I'm very much into creating monthly recurring revenue with my real estate holdings, and then also with my companies and our software company that we launched a couple of months ago. And so for me, I think, there was a significant shift that happened in 2016 when I had a 1-year-old daughter. And up until that point, I was working as a real estate agent. I was working 7 days a week. I had zero free time, but we were making a lot of money. We were generating a lot of money, which is kind of what the system is designed to do, right? We're trained to go to college, as Wendy had talked about. Go into debt, go and be good employees, and maybe eventually we'll become self-employed. And that's really a trap, right? The trap is you're still trading time for money. Mm-hmm. And, I had a moment when we were in Hawaii with my family celebrating my daughter's first birthday. And I had some big real estate deals that were going on at the time. And so I kind of waved goodbye to my family. I said, hey, I'll meet you guys in the beach in an hour. Let me take these calls. I'll be right down. And I found myself, I spent, I think, the entire day in this beautiful condo in Maui doing all of these real estate deals, and, got the deals done, and, left the condo, went down to the beach to my family, and they were like, oh, no, we're done now. We've been here for like 6 hours. You didn't show up. And so that was a big defining moment to me. And I said, okay, I think that I'm doing this wrong. I'm still trading time for money. What would it look like if instead I could build systems and processes and own income producing assets that then generated the income for me, the monthly recurring revenue, so that I could have more control over my time? And so that's the journey that I've been on. And, really, I would say that that's like, the box that I stand on every day is I want to help more self-employed people and W-2, employees start gravitating to the other side of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, becoming business owners, owning systems and processes, or investors, right? Owning income producing assets that'll generate revenue regardless of if you show up or not. And so for me, that's, I'm all in there. And it's really fun because now I have a variety of these, different businesses and income producing assets that do this for me. And so it's almost kind of been like an experiment of what different industries can I get into, so that then again, I can help people. I can be into growth and contribution, help them do this for themselves, and kind of, serve as hopefully an example of what's possible.
Yeah, I love it, because you talked a little bit about the traditional path, and really what the traditional path is, you need time and money, right? But yes, the traditional path is go out and spend all your time making the money, which you have a limited amount of time, 24 hours a day, and then the number of days is unknown. But the traditional path is you do that, and then eventually you have more time, and even though your income may have dropped, hopefully your 401k or whatever is able to pay for it. But the problem is you don't have a lot of time left in days.
Right.
That's if you make it that long.
Right.
Like if you end up getting cut short for whatever reason, like it's lost.
So, and that's why we need to build wealth sooner so that we can enjoy it longer with the people that we love. And so that's for me, it's like, how can we collapse time and help people get there sooner so that they can control their time and have more time with their loved ones or doing the things that they love.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of ways you can approach that. One thing I've liked Tim Ferriss's suggestion of retire over a 60-year period. Like instead of going on, waiting until you're 60 to go on the month vacations, go on like 8 different 4-day vacations throughout the year, and have these little mini retirements. And then, but you just happen to build business around that, which is, it allows for more exponential growth, especially when you're funneling that into real estate assets that provide cash flow.
Right. Well, and then it also becomes real for others. So we travel a lot. My family and I do. We traveled, I think it was 320 days in 2021.
It's insane. I've seen the post. I'm like,
it was a lot. Oh, but we had the greatest time. And last year, 2021, I think we spent maybe about 12 weeks traveling. So it was a little bit, less than we normally do. And then we have a full travel plan scheduled for 2023. And I think what that does, though, is it also shows what's possible. So I'm a woman, I'm in real estate, I'm a business owner. And so, I try to, as uncomfortable as it is, share my lifestyle so that it can be potentially possible for other families and other women that are wanting to get into this industry and just kind of see, how it might look for them. Maybe not everyone is into travel, but maybe you just want to be able to take your kids to school every morning and pick them up when they get out of school, right? And so I think this idea of building wealth as soon as possible and as quickly as possible is really, really, really important for people.
Yeah, and obviously the sooner you start, the more time it takes to compound. So, any final thoughts on? Actually, let's go and since you have kids, I want to kind of get your opinion on one of the things that Wendy talked about, and that was work ethic. And you obviously have a very strong work ethic to have achieved what you've achieved in a short amount of time. Being in your position with kids and being a parent and a business owner, how are you teaching work ethic to continue that on to your kids? Any thoughts there?
Well, so my daughter is a salaried employee in our company, and we have her do work all the time. And so she does due diligence for us. She's a lot of times helping with mailers and things like that. We don't actually give her the money that she earns. It gets funneled into, we have a custodian account with Vanguard. So all of it gets invested. And then the, whatever the limit is for the Roth IRA gets contributed to her Roth IRA. And then we have conversations as a family on a monthly basis about how our portfolios are performing. And so she's had some really great oil and gas plays. She's had some great uranium investments that she made.
Uranium.
Yeah, I have a friend in the commodity space, and so he gives me some really great tips.
Okay.
But anyways, and so it's just, we have these conversations around our investments and what that means for us as a family and what that allows us to do as a family as well. I think another big thing is we often, travel, we go to other countries, and we, kind of experience the local culture of, families working together. And I think that's really, really impacted her as well, is just to kind of see a different lifestyle than the average American family. And, potentially the struggles and, the trials and tribulations that these other third world countries are going through. And so, she's really caught on to that. The other thing that we do, so we do not buy our daughter any presents for birthdays, holidays. She gets 0 Christmas presents from us. And we do, it's a little probably controversial, but she's, she gets a lot of travels and she gets to fly business class, so she's okay.
Yeah, very good.
But instead we go and we do the Secret Santa, and we buy gifts for children that otherwise probably wouldn't be receiving Christmas presents. And so she's really into that, and she understands that, again, we have the ability to do that. And rather than buy her presents, because she doesn't need anything else, we get to give that gift to other children and other families. And she loves it.
Love it. Love it. Any final thoughts?
No, I think in terms of legacy for me, I would 100% agree with Bill. It goes so much further than just my own family. It's how can I impact as many people as possible? And that's my legacy. So if I can help people get into real estate deals, or if I can help, agents close more business and, get some free time back, that's, exactly what I want my legacy to be, is more contribution and helping others.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming on, and look forward to connecting with you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Take care.
All right. Legacy of contribution. That's awesome. Hey, and super excited to have Ian Flannigan join Real Estate Hacking Live. Ian is a former hairdresser turned real estate agent and investor. He's the founder of Flannigan Consulting and a public speaker with extensive background in investing and creative financing. Ian, welcome to Real Estate Hacking Live.
Hey, man. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. How you doing, Ian?
Oh, man, I'm great. I'm just, I'm glad you invited me for this amazing lineup. I love hearing everyone else's stories, and, we've all had those same challenges over the years.
Yeah. And I mean, you've developed this personally, but you also work with other investors and agents and coach them as well. So I know you'd have a unique perspective here. How how are you building wealth and creating a legacy?
Man, that's a great question, right? It's kind of what everyone else is, right? It's real estate. I lost my, investing in other opportunities and businesses over the years. And I always kind of came back to real estate. It was the one thing that I wouldn't say can control, but it's a little bit more tangible, right? When you buy a property, it's a real asset. We won't even get into this whole crypto speculation that's completely melted at this point. So, I finally got in the multifamily game. So I think everybody on this call has read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? I've been the employee. I'm still in the S quadrant, somewhat with a real estate license, but I finally was able to cross over into the fast track with the B, and then also making money in the I. So it was just a dream come true. And I finally got in. I'm in my second multifamily deal, and I just can't wait to continue to grow my wealth with multifamily assets. So
awesome. Are you on multifamily? Are you on the limited side where you're a passive investor, or are you also the operator? I'm just kind of curious.
Man, I am strictly a passive investor. So just on the equity side.
Because a lot of people think that, hey, I'm going to go into multifamily means I need to go out and buy a 50 unit or 200 unit property, when there's like this complete other side with, yeah, you could, but that's work.
Oh yeah.
You make a lot of money, but
a lot of it. I've spent days in the truck with the CEO and the sponsor, and it's literally 16-hour days every day. But that's the dedication it takes to drive those assets forward. And for me, I just, I have a 4-year-old, I hit the reset button. So I've been able to build my business around my daughter's schedule. So I get up with her, I go to bed with her, and anything that violates that time, I have no time for it.
Yeah, good, because being on the passive side, really your work was due diligence up front. Does it make sense? And then reviewing, I don't know, monthly, quarterly financial statements and getting your distributions. It's a beautiful passive investment vehicle.
It is, yeah, it is. You get, you need a brick of cash to get in the game. And you need to surround yourself with really great people too. So, not everybody in real estate's great, and not everybody's willing to share. And there's a lot of things that people will deceive you on. It's just that you've got to make good decisions on who you choose to hang out with.
100%. Yeah. And which is why it's important to keep your ear to the ground and talk with folks and network, because if you jump right in, it's not, there's plenty of people with some a nice front that may not be the best operator, and you just kind of got to be careful of that. So legacy, you've got family, and obviously that's part of legacy. It can extend further than that, and some people more extensively further than that. When they have like advised donor funds and charity foundations and stuff like that. But for you, how are you creating legacy?
Yeah, obviously the portfolio of real estate assets is a big legacy, and something that I never even saw coming was building wealth with my real estate license, and that's something that I've been working on for several years now. Building that residual income through the cash flow and sales of other agents around the world. So that's been a huge one. And the way our company's set up is we're able to pass that through to our spouses. So my wife will be getting a real estate license. She's on payroll with our company now. So it's this evolution of building this legacy. So it's so funny because I sound like I'm, 15 years old. I'm actually 48. I've been in real estate probably, 17, 18 years.
You're looking good for 48.
Thanks, man. I'm still at it every day, making an effort to to stay healthy. But it's more strategic now than it's ever been in our lives, right? With our Northwestern Mutual policies, everything that we're putting into the market there. We have term life policies and a lot of the other estate type assets that you build over time. But it is definitely a focus of setting up the legacy now for the family. Because, I'm just blessed to be here another day, right? We never know. Yep. We never know when the time comes, and I'm just making those strategic positions. So it's just a great blessing to know that I've built something over the last several years that something happens to me, my wife will be able to step right in and continue to receive that cash flow. And that's pretty important.
Hey, this has kind of become a side question of the hour, but work ethic, I know you have tremendous work ethic being where you're at. Have you thought about, because you have fairly young children, right?
Well, I have a 27-year-old and a 4-year-old. So yeah, my 4-year-old, yeah, she's young.
So how are you teaching her work ethic and building that foundation? And she's 4, but
Yeah.
you've thought about it, and there's little things that you just build up over time.
Yeah, that's a great question. We pour so much into her. My wife and I, we've done so many great things over the years of us being together. Like our sister-in-law offered to, babysit, watch Molly over New Year's, and we just were like, no, we want to spend that time with her. We did so much of traveling and partying and doing all the fun stuff. When you're in the early days of courtship and then marriage. So we pour so much into her. It's really elevated her. I mean, she's 4 years old, but she can articulate things, and whenever she's around other adults, and then even the ladies at the daycare, they're just like, oh my gosh, she's so smart. So we're just really focused on pouring into her and really raising her that way. So she's already in the mindset. We're driving down the road and I point at a building. I was like, what is that? She's like, that's a commercial building. What do we live in? We live in a house. So I'm starting to really pour into her in that aspect too, because, that legacy is going to pass from my wife to her and even my son too at some point. So
yeah, I remember when we were back doing the heavy flipping, we drive down neighborhoods and our son would remember, hey, is that the flip house? Is that the flip house? Because he was walking through finished projects. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
So, Ian, I really appreciate you coming on and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Take care.
Take care, bud.
All right. Well, great. And next up, we've got Gino Barbaro. Gino is a real estate investor, business owner, author, and co-founder of Jake and Gino, a multifamily real estate education company. He has over $250 million in assets and resides in Augustine, Florida with his wife and 6 children. Gino, welcome to Real Estate Hacking Live.
Ben and Chris, thanks for having me on. How you guys doing?
Absolutely. Gino Barbaro, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
So building wealth, building a legacy. So you're doing that personally in your business, but you also, kind of like Bill Allen on earlier, you're heavy in the education. You're teaching folks how to do that, new and experience. You're coaching experienced folks as well. So I was really excited to have you on to get your unique perspective from both sides of that coin. How are you building wealth? How are you building passive building a legacy?
I think the first thing we should discuss or just talk about is, mindsets about building wealth. Yeah. The people think of wealth as just, I guess, generating money, becoming rich, becoming wealthy from that perspective. I'd like to cultivate the mindset first between what a poor mindset is, middle-class mindset, and a wealthy mindset. And for me, it is the poor mindset. You can be making $17 million a year or whatever it is. It's that person that doesn't think about the future, the person that doesn't have the growth mindset, the person that doesn't save and thinks about their legacy. The middle-class mindset, that's where I was for years. It was all about saving for the future, but not really building wealth and just putting it into certain vehicles, whether it's a 401k, whether it's a 529 plan, and let's hope that works out. I have no control. To me, the wealthy mindset is more about legacy. It's more about that long-termism. We talk about what we call the 100-year mindset. Mm-hmm. All the decisions that Chris and Gino are going to make today are not only going to affect us, they're going to affect our kids and our grandkids. So when you make a decision, whether it's a partnership, whether it's an investment, whether it's where you want to live for the next 20 years, it's not going to only affect you. It's going to affect the rest of your generations going forward. And when you think like that, everything changes. All of your decisions changed. And when I got into multifamily real estate years ago, I was a solopreneur. I had one little restaurant. And within 5 years, I was able to scale up to 1,500 units because I saw the power. I saw that long-termism, but being able to invest in these assets for the long term. And Chris, it's been difficult for the last couple of years. These deals haven't been around. For us long-termers, we haven't found value in deals, and not being able to buy deals and passing deals up has been very hard. And building wealth, it really comes down to, pretty boring thing. It really comes down to having certain skills, having certain disciplines that you need to do. And once I realized that, I started doing it for myself, and I saw that it's not really taught in schools. Well, how do I teach my 6 children? I've got 6 kids, age 23 to 8. They need to learn this stuff. And then I saw how much I enjoyed doing it. We just started the Jake and Gino Education Company and started pouring into that community as well.
Yeah. So a mentor of mine a long time ago told me, like, always make long-term decisions with one exception. If you got a cash flow crunch, make short-term decisions, solve that problem, and then get back to long-term. And as long as you can keep that balance, then you're going to do well. But like you said, it is boring. Like the rock star, the rocket ship stories are more interesting, but that's the rarity. That's not the most common. Usually it's very boring, and there's a lot of people that you just walk by down the street and you'd never know they're multimillionaires just for doing something very, very simple for a long enough time.
And in multifamily, it allows you to do that. We bought our first deal, myself and Jake, back in 2013, when it's very similar to what's going on in this part of the market cycle right now. Market cycle is reverting back to then. Rents were $350 for one bedrooms back then. We still own that 225 unit asset. We still own it till today, and those rents are over $1,100 right now. So talk about creating wealth in the span of a decade. We've been able to triple rents. Valuations have gone up threefold. Tax benefits. I mean, that's what it talks about, really creating true wealth. And when you speak to a lot of intelligent investors and people who've been around, whether it's a Sam Zell or it's a Sam Freshman, their mistakes are real simple. They should have bought more, and they should have held on for a lot longer. So when you see
your strategy is a little different than a lot of investors out there, multifamily investors. So most syndicators, they're in and out in 3, 5, 7 years, maybe 10. You're more of a buy and hold for super long term to maybe forever ish.
Yes, and let me let everyone in on a little secret. You don't make money in real estate when you buy. That's a fallacy. You make money when you exit. Let me say that again. You don't make money when you buy. That's great. You make a little cash flow. But where do you make most of the money? It's when you refi the asset or you sell the asset.
Yeah, it's the equity capture.
That's the problem. And I think a lot of syndicators, when they have investors, they're forced to sell. That's where they make, unless they're putting money on the front end, they make money on the back end. Jake and I, we like to syndicate. We've syndicated a couple of deals, but I like to buy these assets for the longer term. If I'm looking at an asset and I'm saying to myself, I don't really want to own this asset in the next 10 years, then I'll pass on that asset, because I'm thinking to myself, I want to buy an asset in a good market where there's a path of progress, where there's population growth and job growth. And I want to buy an asset that if it's old and I need to really fix it up and put a ton of CapEx into it, I can do that. At these prices over the last couple of years, you were forced to buy newer assets because the capital expenditure requirements were so great on the older assets. So for us, it's just shifted in from buying these assets for a shorter term and holding them for the longer term. And I think what syndicators should really consider doing is, there's nothing wrong with buying assets and selling, right? Because there's sometimes you get into a market or things change, or all of a sudden you have this 10 unit and you're like, I don't want to be with these small deals anymore. Let me repurpose that money and put it into another deal. Yeah. So that's just really the business of real estate. We call it the conveyor belt theory. Put these assets on a conveyor belt, this imaginary belt that's in front of you. Let these assets start matriculating. Then you'll look back 3 years ago and I'm glad I got into it. I've got these assets now. What do I do? Now you have the opportunity to sell that deal and put that asset into another asset, or refinance it and pull that equity out, like you said, and continue to invest it. So the strategy is, when you're going into real estate, just understand what your exit strategy is. Most beginning investors, myself included, it's not just buy and hold forever. You want to buy and hold the right assets forever, And so I think we need to get clear on that as investors.
And aligning the exit strategy with your long-term goals and the long-term goals of the investors that you're partnering with, because the sell, even if you're a long-term investor, ultimately the problem or the success of that event occurs with what you do with the money.
Yes.
Like you live like a rock star. Cool, you'll have fun, but ultimately you've squandered the wealth. But if you reinvest it, which is why from a single family standpoint, I came with the slow flip strategy. Instead of flipping over 6 months, flip over a 3 to 5 year period. And then that way, when you've accumulated the equity, when you've accumulated some appreciation, get some cash flow along the way, sell it, and then go out and buy not just one more and replace it, buy 2 or 3 more. You got more cash. Just keep doing that. It's very boring, but over a 10-year period, you're a millionaire and you can keep your job doing this.
Yes. Great point. I love that.
So you've got 6 kids. Work ethic was brought up as a part of the legacy equation when it comes to family. I'm curious on how 'cause you grew up in kind of an entrepreneur family in the restaurant industry, now in multifamily coaching. Um, how have you approached building work ethic with your kids to ensure that they've got the skills needed to also like do what you've done, build wealth and build a legacy?
I think the first thing that as parents, our job is to create a safe, happy, healthy environment. That's the first thing. I think the next thing is you want to make your children, as they grow older, give them the power to empower them to make the right decisions. My oldest child, she's 23 years old. She's not into building wealth right now. She's a Catholic missionary. So she went on her own route. My son is 20 years old. He's going to be a senior next year in college. He's actually switched to accounting. He's invested in a few of our deals. So for him, it's a natural inclination to become an investor. We homeschool our kids, so we basically teach them what we want to teach them, and it's worked really well for us. And every conversation we have, it's about entrepreneurship, it's about business, and I blend the business with the family. If you see behind me, those 2 kids books, we write kids books with our kids to sell out to the public. And it's about responsibility. It's about long-termism. It's about creative caterpillar and responsible rhino going out there and doing those things through stories. And we actually have our kids in our videos as well. So it's for us, family life and business life to me is merged beautifully. Whether it was at the restaurant, when my kids would come and work at the restaurant, they'd see dad work in the kitchen. Some of them would be working up front with grandma. And then it's just into the Jake and Gino, where they've been able to come to all of our events. They're part of our content. They know our students. And for me, it's been a great blend. And unfortunately, we've been taught this lie that the 4-hour work week, work when you want to, you really need to grind it out. And Chris, I'll tell everyone a secret here. When you finally figure out work and becoming really good at something, you don't really want to stop working because it doesn't become work anymore. I love doing this stuff. I love teaching. I love being a mentor. I love doing deals. Why would I stop now? It doesn't make any sense. I worked so hard to get to this point. Now, maybe I might not do some other projects or I might not pick some other stuff, but I enjoy what I'm doing so much. And, to answer your question, to come full circle in your question, I want to be a role model to my kids. I want my kids to see that work can be a lot of fun. Work can be empowering. Work is necessary to have a fulfilling life. You just need to figure out what your sole purpose is. My daughter at 23 years old, her sole purpose may be just to go out and be a missionary for the next couple of years and then figure out her next iteration. My son, it seems as if he loves numbers and he loves investing and he loves doing real estate. We'll see what happens with that. My daughter, she's a senior in high school. She's got to take that next step. And I'm battling with her right now. She doesn't want to go to college. I'm like, you need to do something. I want you to go to college, figure out your vacation. And there's things in life when you don't want to do it. As an adult, you're going to have a lot of those days. This is just the first start of becoming an adult, doing something that you don't want to do.
Maybe we can end it with this. I mentioned this earlier with Bill Allen, and it's something I've thought about a lot before. I don't know if you ever thought about this. So I'm sure you have thought about, hey, wouldn't it be really cool to have really gotten to know who your great grandfather was, grandmother, whatever. It would be cool to actually read a book that they wrote about their lives or watch a video. Well, your 5th, 10th generation, 7th generation down the line, they will get to do that about you. And it's like, this has never happened in human history before. So we're in like this unique position to create the content through our work, have that ripple effect and it be actually accessible to other generations. With that thought in mind, how does that resonate with what you're doing now, or how you're shaping your legacy for those in the family that they're going to look, or actually not even in the family, just people who are going to look back and say, who's this Gino guy?
It's empowering to think about. I've created something called a Personal Finance Academy to teach young adults about this. And I hope that my grandkids and great grandkids will be watching that stuff and going, that's still pretty relevant stuff. As what skills do you need? What habits do you need? What is money all about? And I'm also setting my life up also where I'm creating irrevocable trusts for the next generations. I want to be a Rockefeller. I don't want to be a Carnegie. All right. I want to live that. I want to live the ability to continue to fund future generations and say, you know, grandpa was pretty cool, but I want the kids to be able to read, like your other guest said, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, all those books that affected me, and to be able to say, hey, grandpa was there. He left all this money. He created this amazing legacy, and I want to be able to continue to pass that on.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Gino. Appreciate having you on.
Chris, great day. Thanks, brother.
Take care.
See you.
All right. That's a wrap. That was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
Man, that was excellent.
Have you ever thought about the ripple? I mean, the fact that 200 years from now, someone's gonna, you know, someone in your family is going to go back. We'll be able to go back and actually see who Ben Deal was.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I haven't really thought of that. Just with the era that we're in, you know, everything, we've got the opportunity to dive everything through social media, through YouTube, through content, through things that we share, way more documented. So yeah, that's a real interesting point, especially talking about legacy and docking. And even I love that Bill brought up, you know, the things that will live on forever, like writing a book, the written word. I think in a lot of ways, if it's found, you know, through our social media, through our digital footprint online, it's really powerful thought.
Love it. Love it. All right. So the question of the day has been, how are you building wealth and creating legacy? I want you to answer this on YouTube, on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you're at. Answer it, put it in the comments. I replied to any comment. So if you put that in there, love to read it. Love to see your feedback. And maybe there's some good nuggets that you got from some of the guests. Give them a shout out, give them some flowers. Appreciate you having on. If you want to subscribe, we do regular content every single week, market observations, good, just valuable real estate content, market content, real estate investing content, live events, and whatnot. Go to investedx.com. You can subscribe to our newsletter, and we send that out twice a week, and just anything we can do to provide more value. So otherwise, thanks for watching. Ben, thanks for co-hosting. Appreciate having you on too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Excited for the next one.
Signing off.